Urban renewal really occurs in two ways. One is organically, and the other is through the actions of the local government. What is urban renewal? It is what it sounds like it is: the revitalization of an area in a city that has declined, is abandoned, or in some other ways has become less than functional. As I said, this can happen organically, as it has been occurring in many places in the US over the last 10 or 15 years because of increased property values. This is particularly true in Southern California, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and other places where property values skyrocketed up after the Great Recession of 2008 through 2010. As first-time homebuyers sought to get into the home ownership category and found that they couldn't afford the neighborhood they really wanted to live in, they began to purchase fixer-upper houses in the neighborhoods that were in the immediate proximity, in other words, right next to the neighborhood they desired. Then fix that house up that they bought. This increases the property value not only of their house, but of the surrounding properties and the surrounding neighborhoods. You probably have seen this happening. I have certainly seen it happening throughout Southern California. This draws more first-time home buyers to that neighborhood where the first person or first group of people began to fix up houses. And over some period of time, the neighborhood goes from being a transitional neighborhood to a newly rejuvenated neighborhood of single-family homes, dog walkers, stroller pushers, cafes, restaurants, vintage clothing and furniture stores, and so on. You know what I'm talking about? I think you know what I'm talking about. Brooklyn, or Long Beach, or Santa Ana. These places have all had versions of this happening, and it's driven by property values. This process can also be helped along by the government. Sometimes the government will identify neighborhoods in decline, purchase the property, then sell it off to developers who demolish the older structures or fix them up if they're fixable. Remember, houses can go on for centuries, but they need work, while at the same time ensuring that better services, parks, and so on are going to be added to this neighborhood. In the case of old but attractive structures, the government may help with loans and or some tax incentives to encourage investors, to encourage potential homeowners and entrepreneurs to locate in an area, open businesses, invest, upgrade, fix up, in other words. So fixing up that existing architecture because it does kind of have architectural integrity, and so the city may want to keep it. And by doing this, they thereby maintain the character of the neighborhood while making it more attractive. That then brings in people to eat and shop and live and so on. This process that I'm describing is called gentrification. That is the renovating and reinvigorating of a neighborhood by a middle class or upper middle class population. People take the chance on slightly poorer neighborhoods because the houses are bigger, constructed well, kind of have an older, cooler vibe to them, and they just need some upkeep. But they're less expensive. Gentrification is frequently criticized and poo-pooed by people who argue that the people living in the newly gentrifying neighborhood will slowly be forced out by higher property values and the higher rents that go along with them. And you know what? This is true. Some of those folks will be able to remain, but many will eventually move. And the dog walkers and stroller pushers and cafe goers will slowly dominate the neighborhood. I guess if your property is increasing in value, you see this is good. If your rent is going up because of these new arrivals and you have to move, you probably see this as bad. Where I live in Long Beach, the neighborhood has slowly gone through this kind of a transition over the last 20 years. From Ocean Boulevard, see the red arrow there? That's pointing at Ocean Boulevard, runs kind of along the coast in Long Beach. So along the coast inland to about 7th Street, which I just highlighted with that black line. That's where 7th Street is at in Long Beach. the majority of the area has increasingly grown wealthier. The houses get fixed up and the property values are increasing. So, in other words, just like this, inland from Ocean, in other words, to 7th Street. Now, beyond 7th Street, so north of 7th Street, in that area I just highlighted with those arrows, people are buying homes in this area kind of taking a chance that gentrification will continue. And if it continues just a little bit north of 7th Street, then it'll move to 8th, and then 10th, and then Anaheim, and so on. And by doing this, the city is both going through a kind of organic gentrification, and at the same time, the local government, the city government in Long Beach, is promoting this because it increases the tax base.